Michaelnagar Shikha Niketan Higher Secondary Government Sponsored Co-ed English Medium School has taken an excellent initiative of teaching and make our students learn day-to-day lessons through audio and video in our YouTube channel. Teachers of all the subjects are working hard to enhance these online classes in the midst of this pandemic situation. It is a request to all the teachers, students and guardians to click the bell icon and subscribe our channel.
Now come to the point, what is terminal velocity? Suppose a body is falling through a viscous medium. This is a viscous medium, viscous fluid or liquid, whatever may be, the body is falling through it. So the body is having a weight, this is acting towards downward, and another force we have known, that is known as upthrust. Upthrust is acting upward. This is the symbol of upthrust is U. Now another force that is acting here, that is viscous force of the fluid, which opposes the motion of the falling body. So as a result, what is happening, as the velocity of the ball is increasing, viscous force is again increasing, is going to increase, because viscous force depends on the velocity of the body. So at a particular time reached, when the weight of the body is equal to the value of both, that is viscous force and upthrust. Viscous force and upthrust acting upward position and weight is acting downward position. So these two forces, these three forces actually balances one another. This sum of these two forces, sum of these upward forces balance this downward force. So as a result, the body has, there is no force acting on the body. So when no force acts on the body moves with a final velocity, that is known as terminal velocity, and that velocity is uniform throughout the distance. So what is terminal velocity? Terminal velocity of a body is the constant maximum velocity acquired by the body while falling through a viscous medium, and when it is generated, when the upward force and downward force balances each other, that means viscous force and upthrust balance the weight of the body, then terminal velocity of a body reached. So at that velocity, the velocity is maximum, and in this velocity the body is falling to the ground. A liquid is flowing from this horizontal tube. Amount of liquid is flowing through a horizontal tube. So I have to find out that how much liquid is coming out from this cross sectional area. So in unit time. So actually we will have to find out the rate of flow of liquid that is flowing through the cross section area. So that depends on few factors. What are the factors? Factor volume of the liquid that is flowing out per second through this capillary tube. Capillary tube means the tube which have a very small radius. This is known as capillary tube because which have a very small radius. So V varies as pressure difference between the two ends of the tube. Okay. V varies as R to the power 4. R means the radius of the tube, radius of the area of cross-sectional area of the tube. So V varies as R to the power 4. V is inversely proportional to the length of the tube. So when length is more, volume of the liquid that is coming out, that is less. V also depends on the, we are inversely proportional to the viscosity. This sign is known as viscosity symbol, this is known as eta. The symbol is known as eta. The symbol is used to denote viscosity of fluid. So these are the factors on which volume of the liquid that is flowing out depends on. So combining all the terms, we get the we have to find out rate of flow. So rate of flow means del V by del T. That means per unit time the amount of volume liquid is flowing out. So this is P R to the power 4 by L into eta. Del V by del T is equal to P R to the power 4 by L into eta. This equation denotes the rate of flow of liquid through a capillary tube, and this is known as Poincaré equation. Though this is not mentioned in your book about Poincaré equation, but you have to know it, the rate of flow of liquid in this form of equation. Come to Bernoulli's theorem. What is the statement of Bernoulli's theorem? Bernoulli's theorem states that the total energy per unit mass of a small quantity of liquid flowing through a tube without any friction remains constant throughout the displacement of the liquid. That means a liquid is not confined. Suppose the liquid is in this state, the liquid is here, the liquid is not confined. We mean to say that there is a piston by which you can change the displacement of the liquid. So, we can enter the friction inside and outside and change the displacement of the liquid. Displacement means this area x. So, we can change the displacement. If I turn it outside, then it will be increased, and if I push it into inside, then it will be decreased. So, it's basically we can change the displacement of the liquid which is in a small tube, and without any friction the liquid is flowing. But during this change, during this displacement, the total energy of the liquid per unit mass is constant. What do you mean by total energy? Total energy means there are three types of energy. Basically, we know there are two types, all the body having two types of energy, all bodies. They are kinetic energy, potential energy. All bodies have two types of energy. But here, this liquid has also pressure energy, because as I am moving the piston outside or inside, I am applying pressure over here. So, we have to consider pressure energy also. So, three types of energy. Kinetic energy means normal, suppose the amount of mass that is confined here, suppose the total volume of liquid that is confined here V, and amount of mass that is confined through this region, that is M, and the velocity by which I am pushing the piston, that is small v. So, what is the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy means half into m into v square. This is the kinetic energy of the liquid. Now, we are considering this per unit mass. Per unit mass means divided by m. So, basically kinetic energy reduces to half v square. Next, potential energy. Potential energy means mgh. Potential energy means mgh, which depends on the mass of the object, gravitational acceleration of the object, and height of the object from the ground. That is m into g into h. So, per unit mass basically divided by m, so it reduces to gh. Kinetic potential energy per unit mass, that is gh. And pressure energy. Pressure energy means, so pressure, force per unit area. We know that force per unit area is equal to pressure P. So, the amount of force we are applying here divided by the area of cross-sectional area is denotes the pressure energy. Considering this pressure energy, we can consider another thing, that is the volume and mass area. Area means, we can write it into another way, that area into h. H means, here we can write x also, x, because area into height denotes volume. So, volume is basically area into height. So, area will be what? Area will be volume divided by x will be area, and this is force. So, pressure means Wf by A. But as we are considering pressure energy, energy means work done. Work done means what? Force into displacement actually denotes work done. So, pressure energy basically force into displacement. So, force means P into A, pressure into area actually force. So, P into A, and displacement means here x. We are considering the displacement is x. So, P into A into x is the pressure energy. If we are considering this per unit mass, then it will be divided by So PE by M, it will be PAX by M. Now this AX means area into height denotes what? Area into height denotes volume of the liquid. So PV divided by M. Now V by M, we know volume per unit mass. Another quantity, that is mass, we know that mass per unit volume. We all know that mass per unit volume is equal to density or rho. So here P by M, that means reciprocal of rho. So P by rho, 1 by rho. V by, we are considering V by M, that means 1 by rho. So P by rho. So there are three types of energy we have got. One is kinetic energy, potential energy and pressure energy. The sum of all these energies are constant during the flow of the liquid. So Bernoulli's theorem, basically sum of these, all these energy constant, that means half V square plus GH plus P by rho is equal to always constant. So whenever you are instructed to write the statement of Bernoulli's theorem, you can write only this. But whenever we are asking that derive Bernoulli's theorem, derivation means you have to describe this, from this to this you have to write line by line. Then only the question will be, the answer will be completed. Okay. Now we are going to discuss the applications of Bernoulli's theorem. Basically in your book this is mentioned, these are mentioned as applications of Bernoulli's theorem, but in your examination these questions are coming in this form, that is give reason. Give reason. Roofs of huts are blown off during storm. So what happens? During storm there are higher pressure over the roofs of hut. So this pressure, the air is giving pressure over here. As a result, there is inside the here a lower pressure is, the air is having lower pressure at great extent. But inside the house there is no air under this, no air, I mean to say there is higher pressure, there is no turbulent force. Here the force is turbulent, the velocity is turbulent, but here the force is streamlined. So this is inside the house there is higher pressure. So what happens according to Bernoulli's theorem, total energy always fixed. So this tin will start now flying and it will move from inside to outside. The viscous force present in the hut will force the tin to blow off outside. This is due to the total energy. Pressure energy is, here pressure energy is reduces, but here pressure energy is maximum, but velocity, to maintain the velocity, here velocity is more, to maintain that velocity the tin is going outside. So this is, you have to write this in statement form. Another question, that is, it is unsafe to stand near a speeding train. These two questions are very much important and you have seen the consequences in your daily life. It is unsafe to stand near a speeding train. When a train is coming with high speed, then there is maximum velocity, the train is possessing now the maximum velocity. So kinetic energy is more, but what happens, pressure energy at that area is low, and where you are standing some far away. So there are higher pressure and there is low pressure, and here velocity is more. To maintain the total energy constant, the person will move. Actually the person is not moving, the air surrounding the person giving a force, the viscous force is giving that pressure to the person. That's why he is going towards the train. So it is always advised that don't stand near a speeding train. You have to stand too far away from the speeding train so that the air cannot give you that pressure towards the train. Okay. So you have to write down these answers in your copy. The next topic, that is elasticity. So what is elasticity? you have seen some substances in your daily life that such as rubber band we are using for tying our hair, that is rubber band. When we use it for more days, you can see that it will be loose. At present, the size of the rubber band was less, and when you have used it for more days, it will be increased. The size of the rubber band at first like this, radius was this, and after using more, it is this, increased to this. So, why is this happening? Is this happening in one day? After using 1 day or 2 days? No, it is happening using more days. So, what is the property? What is the science behind it? Actually, every material, for any material there is a property. If you want to change the shape of the material, as we are using the rubber band, we are trying to change the shape every day. We are tying it in our hair, so we are trying to change. In elastic materials, in trousers, you can see there are also elastic materials present in the trousers. As you are using more, so trouser is going to lose, the elastic is going to lose. So, every material has a property by which it can oppose the change in shape. As I am applying a force to change the shape of the rubber band, now the material has also giving another force, reaction force. If my applying pressure is action, so the pressure that is given by the material, that is the reaction force. So, reaction force or restoring force by which it tries to oppose the given pressure, given force. So, that property is known as elastic property or elasticity. So, the property of a material of a deformed body means when a body is already deformed, by virtue of which it regains its original shape and size after the deformed forces have been removed. Deformed forces means, as I am giving the pressure, this is I am applying the force, this is the force which is denotes here deforming force, because I am trying to deform the body. Deform means I am trying to change the shape of the body. So, this is the deforming force, but it is seen that whenever I have removed this deforming force, the body is regaining in its original shape. So, this is happening due to elastic property present in the material. Okay. So, this is all about basic electricity. That means, what does electricity mean? According to elasticity, we have come to know that there is a force which is generating inside the material when I am trying to change the shape or size of the body. So, what is stress? The internal force that is generating within the body, the per unit area, that is known as stress. So, stress is basically F by A. F means the amount of force that is generating within the body per unit area, that is stress. So, stress is generated due to my applying force, due to the deforming force, you can say the stress is generated within the body. So, as a result of the stress means change, a force is acting, and due to that force, due to the force, the fractional change in length, volume or shape of the deformed body relative to that in its original configuration is called strain. So, there is you have to understand that topic, strain. Strain is basically, suppose the original length of the rubber band was L. After I am applying force from both sides, I am applying force. That's why there is the rubber band will automatically increase in its size after using it more. So, the increase in size, suppose you can say there is small increase. So, small increase in length. So, this small increase in length can be denoted by, original length was this L, and the change in length, this is also L. So, the change in length that is occurring due to this stress, that is del L. Del is a symbol that is used for small change. Small change means very small change, maybe this is 0.002 meter. So, for this type of small change, the del, we use del symbol. Okay. So the change in length, actually the change in length that is happening del L, and we are considering the change in length per unit length of the deformed body. So the fractional change in length means, fractional change means the change in length per unit length due to this stress, that is known as strain. So basically these are main topic, that stress and strain, due to stress strain is generated. So Hooke's law states that within elastic limit this stress is proportional to strain. So as I am applying more stress, as the body is undergoing more stress, more strain will be occurred. More strain means change in length will be more. So stress, basically F by A is proportional to strain, that is del L by L within elastic limit. You have to mention this, within elastic limit. So Hooke's law is very, very important. Let's state Hooke's law. So F by A varies as del L by L. So now mathematically, I am rubbing this. So mathematically F by A divided by del L by L is equal to a constant. This is known as elastic constant. So F by A is equal to del L by L, that means stress by strain is always constant property of a material, that is known as elastic constant. As we have discussed that the stress by strain denotes the modulus of elasticity, elastic constant, that is also known as modulus of elasticity. But we have considered the material have elastic property. So there are so many materials, solid, liquid, gases. So in each material elastic property is going to changes, and in each material there are different elastic constant. So in solids we will consider that Young's modulus. We are, as I have told, yes, in solids, because the ratio of longitudinal stress to the longitudinal strain is known as Young's modulus. Longitudinal, this term considers the change in length. Longitudinal means the change in length. As solid have a definite shape, definite length, so only solid can have this type of elastic constant, that is Young's modulus. As gas and liquid don't have any particular length, so they don't have Young's modulus. So Young's modulus means basically longitudinal stress divided by longitudinal strain denotes Young's modulus. And in your numerical problems, all the numerical problems are regarding this term, that is y is equal to, y means Young's modulus is equal to longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress means basically F by A, and strain means basically this. So y is equal to F by A divided by del L by L. This is the important formula for your numerical problem. So you have just make a start. This is one of the important formula. Okay. So elastic properties are already discussed. So now we are going to discuss the last topic, that is types of material. How many types of materials are there? There are so many types of materials. Suppose if you want to deform a glass jar, can you deform it? No. If I want to apply force, it will be just broken down. So there are so many materials. So glass cannot undergo that, glasses cannot sustain that level of force. So glasses are brittle material. Brittle means they have a tendency to fracture within themselves. So they are brittle types of material. Gold and silver. Gold and silver are those types of materials by which you can make any new things, new jewelries and all. So they are very malleable structure. Malleable means you can change the shape of this type of material very easily. So they are malleable materials. Malleable materials. You can change the shape, so they have the elastic property, but though they are malleable. Copper and aluminium. Copper and aluminium, silver, these materials are ductile types of materials. Ductile means the materials which can expand, very well. Expansion is very well. That's why we use copper wares in our house, the aluminium sheets. So these types of materials are ductile in nature. So today I am going to complete the chapter pressure of liquid and air. All the subunits are already discussed in all the videos. So do follow the videos of all parts regarding pressure of liquid and air. Okay.
Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment. Subscribe. And do share the video among your friends.